Test, test.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Starbucks with Jim and Donardo. I, of course, am your host, Anthony Donardo. With me is my co-host, Jim Rosati. Jim, welcome. It is Wednesday. It is cold, but welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. It is cold here. I have not been outside yet, but I was told the low today is quite chilly. That's actually not too bad. We're in the 20s right now.
Yeah. Well, it's currently 24 in Pittsburgh, so good on them.
Yeah.
It's not too bad here in Jacksonville, I'll say. But it got really cold. I want to say it was, last Friday? It was like almost 80 degrees. 70, 76
so cold.
degrees.
Cold.
I know, right? But no, for real, it was like 76 degrees. It was really, really nice. And then it was like the next day, it got into like the 30s. So it's been quite cold here, but no, it's now back into like 60 degrees. So we're all right.
Well, let's just hope like when spring training comes along, that weather's still there.
Especially if you're attending spring training, because you have that chance in that possibility this year.
Exactly.
You heading down, Jim, still?
Yeah, we are heading down. We'll be there like the second week of March. So yeah, should be exciting.
Definitely. Yep. A lot of changes
after last year.
Well, especially after last year. I know you couldn't go. But of course you had that whole fiasco with the reservations. I couldn't go as well, but I mean, I was only going by myself, not with like, all those people in a whole bed, whatever they're called. What was it? I forget. You don't have to name the company, but I forget what it was, but yeah. So anyways, but hey, it is officially baseball season, Jim, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won the Super Bowl. Let's go Bucks, right?
Yeah. They're similar. I mean, they're both named after pirates, so yeah. I mean, it's almost like the Pirates won the Super Bowl.
I think that was really the only reason I was like, I mean, first off, I'm a Dolphins fan. I know some people probably know that, through Twitter and whatnot, but I am a Dolphins fan. I don't hate the Steelers by any means, but Dolphins fan, much like the Pirates, you don't really have much to look forward to because they're not good ever. So, and I've hated Tom Brady like all my life, but I feel like the same reason I've hated Peyton Manning. Like I hate Tom Brady because I have to, because he's the Patriot, and I've hated Peyton Manning because he was breaking all of like Marino's records. But it just came to a point where it's like, you know what? Hey, Peyton Manning's just so good. Tom Brady's so good, and I hate how likable Tom Brady is. Why has he turned into this guy that you can just like?
Yeah, no, I know. Like his social media has been just excellent for the past year or two, and it is a shame because you want to hate the guy, but then like you actually kind of see the specific side of him, and you're like, ugh,
right?
Like why are you so funny?
Why are you such a likable person? Like I could seriously hang out with you and not want to just punch you in the face every time I see you.
Right.
But the Bucks kind of like that adopted team of mine this year, and I was glad to see them win. I was pulling for them, but again, mainly just because like they actually have a chance. But it's like, hey, they're the Bucks. I can root for the Bucks this year and be happy. So I don't know, but that's over. Like I said, it's now officially baseball season. The trucks were loaded up yesterday to go down to Bradenton and Pittsburgh. We're just under a week away from pitchers and catchers, and as mentioned, it's like I think 50 or are we at 49 days now for opening day? 49 days, Jim, until opening day.
Wow. Okay.
So how about that?
Not bad. Not bad. That's
excited.
It's less than 50.
Good job. Good job. There's that early morning analysis we provide you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exciting. Baseball season's coming up. Pitchers and catchers reporting soon. Yeah, we'll have spring training games here in no time. 3 weeks, basically.
Yeah. Yep. So with spring training upon us, still like there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as any new acquired Pirates. I mean, it's all been prospects, right? And we've broken down some trades and such, and it is what it is. But it's not as if we've been able to talk about the major league club in the sense of the new faces or whatnot. I guess there's maybe there was a signing this week. There's something we maybe be able to talk about. Chasen Shreve signed with the Pirates as a minor league deal, so still not a major league deal, but it was a minor league deal. Major league, if he makes the majors, a $1.5 million deal. He is a reliever. I mean, we had a conversation last week that the Pirates, should be signing some people. I think everyone knows the Pirates can and should be signing some people as well. I mean, you can tank, but also acquire things and still be pretty bad. So, what's your overall take on this guy?
So he's not like terrible, I guess, right? So I guess that's the way to look at it. Like
I preference, like every time like the Pirates sign or trade for someone, like, well, let me start off. No. It's not terrible, but
because most people that they are signing are terrible.
Okay.
But this guy, I'll actually give him the not terrible label. Like lefty reliever, he's a guy who can pitch in the major leagues. He's shown he can do it. He's shown he can do it somewhat effectively. Good strikeout rate. Fastball splitter, slider. I mean, had a pretty decent year last year. Apparently, there was a weird stat floating around. He had the highest strikeout rate of any lefty who pitched more than 25 innings last year. So on a Thursday with a full moon.
This is the movie Major League right here.
Chasen Shreve,
yeah, the most strikeouts after 8:11 p.m. when the lights are on, and it is brisk 73 degrees outside.
That's it. That's exactly it. But no, I saw that stat floating around. I was like, okay, cool. But I mean, if you look at the bullpen, I mean, really, you had Sam Howard, and I guess there's Austin Davis, right? So he's another lefty to bring into that mix. I don't know if all three will make the team, two will make the team, one will make the team. Who knows? But he's not awful.
Well, the thing is, I mean, that is true. It's, in jest, it's kind of funny. I mean, of course, that's how this is going to start this conversation. But you're right. I mean, he's not terrible. When you look like the overall number, I mean, he's not been good. Last year, there was some encouraging things that happened, right? And now, of course, it was a shortened season. The good thing about him, I'll say, is like within the shortened season, it wasn't as if he did this stuff on a smaller scale as well. Like it wasn't like he pitched 10 innings, in the shortened season. Like it was just 60 games, but he did throw 25 innings as a reliever. So like in the grand scheme of things, it was a decent amount of innings pitched in that year, Yeah, like the numbers don't jump out at you. He had a 3.96 ERA. Big deal in that sense, right? But he had a major jump in his strikeouts. And like you said, the most strikeouts by a lefty over 25 innings, apparently. But yeah, like his fastball has some really decent movement. His splitter, he has strikeout. And I think it's too, like you mentioned slider. He didn't really use his slider at all in 2019. It seems like he brought it back a little bit last year. And it was actually really good. Like it had a lot of movement on it. I don't know. Like for being the Pirates, we know they're going to be bad this year, right? We'll get to that with the projections too. They're going to be bad. And maybe not Chasen Shreve we're talking of. We wanted to get maybe some arms that had some upside. But if you're going to go in the bottom of the barrel per se, this is kind of one of those guys. Like something happened last year. It was a bit of a fundamental change. The strikeouts, I mean, he was average, I would say, in strikeouts. Last year there was a really jump in his strikeout rate. And again, like his pitches were more effective. So maybe there's something there to it. And like go ahead and take a flyer on this guy and see what you got. He's 30 years old. It's not as if he's young. It's not like you were looking at this for like a future thing. I feel like maybe if you get him on here and turns out to be pretty productive in the first half, then you have a trade chip on your side.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know if this is someone who they signed to flip, or I think this was really more just a bullpen depth move more than anything. But like you said, he did have it was probably his best year of his career last year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe something's clicked for him. I don't know. We'll see. He has pitched. He's been in the majors for a while. I mean, he's got over 5 years of service time. So he has demonstrated that he, can do it.
And that's someone's going to bring up too. I mean, he has been in the majors pretty much substantially in his career. It's not like he's been up and down. He has gone to the minors, but like also for pretty decent clubs. He pitched for the Yankees for 3.5 years. Then was with the Cardinals for like a year and a half. Then last year with the Mets. So it's not as if he's been jumping around from, the rebuilding Royals to now the rebuilding Pirates to, the Miami Marlins, stuff like that. Like he's been in some pretty productive clubs and he's been part of their bullpens. So like you said, he's not terrible. Other teams have seen enough to put him in their bullpens. So he comes over to the Pirates after, as you mentioned, one of his best years ever. So yeah, I mean, maybe there's something more to him. Maybe he's a late bloomer and he turns 31 this year and he finds a little bit more in the tank. I mean, all clubs are going to need arms, after last year. And like you said, it's probably not so much of a flip, but maybe there is a little bit more from Chasen Shreve than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Okay.
He also might not even make the club.
There's that.
There's that potential. But yeah, I see him kind of being, if Howard continues to pitch the way he did last year, I think Howard's on the roster, and then maybe you've got this guy as another lefty or Austin Davis. Who knows?
Right. Okay. Well, I think we can move on then. So the next topic I guess we'll get into is MLB last night. They're giving out their top 100 players, and I don't know. This got a little chatter with our group chat, so I thought maybe we could talk about it because I feel like it's interesting. They gave out their top. Well, I guess their 80 through 100 list. They're doing it like every other night or something like that. But what struck is, I guess Jim Callis stated that, next year he could potentially see his pick is Brian Hayes making the top 100 of all the people that are on the list right now. He said, Wander Franco is a guy that he could see. But he felt like he's not going to get the playing time this year to put him in there. So he goes, so really my next guy is, I feel like Brian Hayes will make my top 100. Now, I don't know, Jim. My take on this was that's pretty damn aggressive. I understand how good his 2020 was. But to call him out right now to say that's going to be a guy that you see in the top 100 baseball players in all of MLB, I don't know. I mean, do you see that from Brian Hayes right now?
So, like personally, I obviously we haven't seen a lot of them, right? But yeah, I could totally see that if he comes out and hits even just a little bit. Like, doesn't even have to hit the way he did last year, obviously, and that's not really sustainable, anyways. But let's say he comes in and he's a decent hitting third baseman. You couple that with his glove, and then I mean he's a 4-win player, right? And I mean then you're talking about your 4-win player. You're a a borderline all-star, maybe even like you're a top 100 player. There's probably not too many. I bet there weren't 100 players in 2019 with 4 wins.
So
let me look it up.
I wish I did. But I guess so. Here's the thing too, and you make a good point. I mean, we've always said the floor is high for him because just the glove alone will give him a few wins. That's how good the glove is, and he's not a terrible hitter. He could be a not terrible hitter, but last year he demonstrated that he was a really, really, really good hitter, and I just don't. I don't know if that's going to stick. The thing about Ke'Bryan Hayes that we've talked about, I mean, the minors, it's never really been there. The hitting's always been behind. He's been about average. I know in AA he had a really nice offensive season, but outside of that, it's been like the bat's coming. Now last year he did have a little bit of a change in his swing. Certainly seen more loft in his hits, Jim, as some home runs came out of nowhere. But like, I don't know if I'm ready to that's just, like I said, that's just aggressive. Top 100 player, Ke'Bryan Hayes. That's your pick. And guys that were picked in the top 100 right now, just to kind of throw them out there, just give an idea. We'll start from 100 and we'll be ranked. Randy Arozarena. I mean, that guy broke
Who's still a rookie. He's still a rookie, technically. He wasn't even a top 100 prospect last year.
He was very
like a top prospect.
I would say he was barely a top 15 prospect in the Rays, I feel.
Came out of nowhere and then just had like the most insane last week or so of the Major League season. And then his postseason was just absolutely insane.
Right.
But by the way, I just looked 62 Major League Baseball players with over 4 wins in 2019, by the way.
Okay. Fair. So we were talking about top 100. So Trey Mancini, JD Martinez, Giancarlo Stanton, Tyler Glasnow, Josh Hader, Luis Robert, Kyle Lewis, Austin Meadows, Byron Buxton. Those are your 90s. I mean,
if I'm looking at that list,
solid company.
If I'm looking at that list, like Ke'Bryan Hayes can certainly be as good as Kyle Lewis or Byron Buxton or Austin Meadows, for that matter. Mainly just because Austin Meadows can't stay on the field. But if Austin Meadows can stay on the field, then he's higher. But yeah, I think Luis Robert, obviously out of that list, has probably the highest potential to jump up. But no, I could see Ke'Bryan Hayes Ke'Bryan Hayes put up Kyle Lewis numbers last year. Kyle Lewis was AL Rookie of the Year, right?
Yes.
But if you look at their numbers, Ke'Bryan Hayes was probably better than Kyle Lewis, actually. And if you make it, sample size wise, I mean, Ke'Bryan Hayes, what was he? Right, 80 at bats or so, was better than Lewis's full season.
Right. And I get that. And Lewis, obviously, he came out to a really hot start too and kind of tailed off. And that's why I feel like too, like, we're talking so highly about Ke'Bryan Hayes. He didn't really have the time to drop off either. So all we saw was like this hot few weeks, really amazing, and then boom, end of season.
Sure.
So, anyways, what I wanted to say is because we did have a little bit of back and forth with this, and I'm looking at this list, and I want to tell you that I kind of agree with you. I mean, I still feel top 100 is aggressive, right? But like when I look at these players, that's good company. As mentioned, Giancarlo Stanton, Tyler Glasnow, Josh Hader, Luis Robert, But could I see Ke'Bryan Hayes being in that company a year from now? I guess I could. I'm not ready to anoint it. I'm not ready to stamp my name on it, Jim Callis, and say he's going to be, my guy for the top 100 next year. But honestly, it's like, you know what? He really could. So it makes me start to think, this rebuild that's coming. You know, Brian Hayes, he doesn't have that Andrew McCutchen quality. I don't think he does. You know, I think you're with me as well. Like he'll never be what Andrew McCutchen was, right? Fair enough.
Yeah, like I don't think Hayes is putting together like 8-win seasons.
Okay. But you know, with this rebuild, and he's likely to turn to the face. I mean, is this a guy that you can build around? I mean, is he going to be? Do you feel, just talking about this right now? Do you feel that he can definitely be more than just a good piece, you know, around a championship team, or more of a person that you can really build this club around?
I think he's going to be one of those players who, yeah, I think he's someone that you build around. Like he's someone who's a staple. He's a staple in your lineup every day. Is he going to be the best player on the team? I mean, hopefully not, right? I mean, you'll have, hopefully some other guys that pass him up eventually. I think right now, right, he probably is the best player on the team.
Well, that's
definitely has and he has the best pedigree of anybody on the team, right? I mean, he's really the only one out there right now who, well, other than Polanco, but he's kind of, I'm ready to slap the bus label on Polanco after 7 years or whatever. But other than Polanco, really Hayes is that only other guy on the offensive side who was, has been consistently highly touted throughout his minor league career. He was always top 100 prospect. Now he's gaining some steam there. It took him a while to develop and reach the majors, but no, he's the best player on the team. So yeah, is he the face of the franchise right now? Absolutely. If he's somebody, like I said, I think eventually he gets passed up as that best player of the team. I would hope so if we're going to rebuild this thing the way we want to. But yeah, as of right now, best player on the team, you build around him as of right now.
Yeah, cool. And again, like I was just getting at here, I mean, that still is good company. I mean, if he becomes a top 100 player, again, like you're talking about right now, Luis Robert, Josh Hader, Don Carlos Stanton, I mean, these were dudes, these were studs, Byron Buxton, Austin Meadows, you want to talk about, prospect list too. Mm-hmm. The hype, I know their major league didn't really turn out as well. And Austin Meadows still, we're waiting. Like you said, injuries is the major issue with him. But again, that's decent company to be with.
Brian Hayes, exact same WAR as Kyle Lewis last year, by the way.
Yes, I know.
I just looked it up.
And the thing about this too is when I look at this list, I don't actually even like this list. That this 80 through 100. I'm like, I don't know if I would put that guy there, this guy above that, and I'm interested to see what the whole top 100 is.
I think there's a couple people on here. I mean, since we're talking about it, I think there's a couple people on here who are just not in the right spot. Like, I don't know if Brandon Nimmo is a top 100 player. These pitchers probably are all there. Salvador Perez, I don't know. Wilson Contreras probably deserves to be there. But in the 90 list, I'm not really too bad at. Like I said, Stanton, when he's healthy, is obviously great, but his problem is just staying on the field as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yohan Moncada is way too low. I'm a big Yohan Moncada guy.
Oh, I know you are. You're a big anyone on the White Sox and Padres.
Yeah. I think he should be higher, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe interesting. Like I almost want to kind of create my own list. I think it would be interesting, but I don't have the time. But yeah, I look at this.
Top 100
because I'm like, it's a good point. We're talking about Brian Hayes, like he's going to make that, but it's like Kyle Lewis is there. Like Kyle Lewis is 93. If Kyle Lewis could be top 100 this year, why can't Brian Hayes be top 100 next year? So that's why I felt, like I said, when I talked, I was like, that's pretty damn aggressive, and I don't know about that. But as I'm looking at this list, I'm like, why can't Brian Hayes be top 100 next year?
I mean, if we think Brian Hayes does have a legit shot of winning National League Rookie of the Year this year, which I think he does, like there's a handful of people, holdovers from last year that are going to be eligible, but Hayes certainly is one of those guys on the list where he could do it.
And he'll have opportunity.
Yeah,
that's
enough. He'll have an entire season. Yeah,
right.
And you have a few people like Bohm, Carlson. They're not going to be eligible, because of last year. So I think the early favorites, if you got to think NL Rookie of the Year, are Hayes and Pache. I mean, those are probably the two guys who are going to have a whole season under their belt.
True.
Yeah. So I think we'll see.
And I was going to say, guy that you might think, I know it's a pitcher and it's usually hard for pitchers to get him, but you would think, Mackenzie Gore, the pedigree. Mackenzie Gore might get it, how good he is, but Mackenzie Gore might not play in 2021. So
he might not even play now. Yeah,
check him off the list, right? Helping out Brian Hayes. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes. All right. So, I just thought that was kind of interesting. Could Brian Hayes top 100 player next year? Maybe. Let's move on to Pecota Projections. So, those were finally released. The top 100 I talked about, I had a little bit of issue with. These, some of them, I'm just like, wow, I'm dumbfounded. Maybe we can start with I guess we'll start first off. The Pirates aren't projected to be the worst team in baseball, Jim. The Pirates are second worst.
Yeah.
Ahead of Pittsburgh is the Colorado Rockies now. Deserving?
And really, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the Rockies aren't good. I think the Rockies do have some pieces that, could maybe push them over to the top, like Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon. Like they've got still a couple of like star potential players. Mm-hmm. So I think, but you also have to keep in mind they're now in a division with two super teams. So
yes,
they're going to have to play the Dodgers and the Padres basically 38 times. So that will not help their win-loss total.
That will not help.
whereas the Pirates don't have anybody like that. I think if we were looking at the standings, right, NL Central, the only division without a team projected to win 90.
Yes.
So the NL Central, the worst division, right? That could potentially be the reason why the Pirates might not finish 30th. It's just because they're not playing good teams.
And that's honestly how I look at it too. Because you're right. I mean, you look at the Rockies, there's a lot of like stars and scrubs. You mentioned like there's still Charlie Blackmon, there's still Trevor Story. Those are really, really talented people. But then there's also some really, really, really bad players. But you're right. I mean, in that division, they got to face the Padres. They have to face the Dodgers. And I mean, we're talking super teams right now. Like this isn't just, these are good teams. Mm-hmm. I mean, these teams have built up. They're super teams right now. And it's not as if the Diamondbacks are terrible either. Like the teams that are above them. That's a very competitive division. So you're right. I feel like the Rockies are probably better than the Pirates, but just because of who they play, they're going to end up losing more games. Because you're right, the NL Central, we've been talking about it, all offseason, how even last year, I mean, it was like if the Pirates weren't such in a bad situation right now, this would be the perfect time to go for it because of how mediocre to bad this division is. And you're right. It's not as if any team out of the NL Central is coming out because they've just really pushed their chips in and they're so good. It's just by default because everyone else is just that much more terrible than them. So you're right. I feel like there's going to be some wins and losses, mixed up in the NL Central that gives the Pirates maybe a few more victories than they should, where the Rockies are, they're getting taken advantage of and they're getting all those L's. But again, it's second worst. I feel it's probably the best interest for the Pirates to get a top 3 pick. As we mentioned, they're projected to be a top 3 pick, so that's good. But when you talk about the NL Central, so the Nolan Arenado trade just happened with the Cardinals. A lot of people have been anointing the Cardinals as the NL Central champions because of it. And Pecota has projected the Cardinals to be 500. third place.
Yeah, they don't like them.
Topping the list in the NL Central is the Brewers with 89 wins, the Cubs with 85, again, the Cardinals 81, followed up by the Reds with 79 wins and the Pirates with 61. The Brewers. And that's a pretty substantial, lead too. 89 wins to 85 of the Cubs and 81 of the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Eight wins over the Cardinals. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think clearly looking on here, if looking for a trend or what they see, they have Milwaukee as the best pitching staff in the division. They actually have Milwaukee as the best pitching staff as far as runs against, right? Out of anybody in the National League, except clearly, obviously, the Dodgers and the Padres, because they're obviously going to be the two best. But if you take the Dodgers and the Padres out, they're saying the Brewers will allow the least amount of runs in 2021. So I guess that's the edge that they're getting there.
Interesting. And we know the Cubs pitching is pretty bad, but they still have some star quality on the offense there. I'm sure though we saw Wilson Contreras as the top 100 player. I'm sure they're going to find some more on their offensive side in there as well. The Cardinals, I feel, are just kind of well-rounded in the sense. They're not good. They're not great. They're good, but they're just kind of well-rounded. Like their pitching staff is okay. Bullpen's okay. Their offense is okay. Definitely have some stars on the corners there in Goldschmidt and Arenado now. And they just re-signed Yachty. It's official, by the way. 1 year, $9 million, no trade clause. I don't know. I mentioned this to Bucko Mike, if we're going to talk about it. With the Cardinals and the Arenado trade, it's like when the trade happened, I wasn't ready to just anoint them. I don't feel like they're clear head and shoulders over everyone else. I do believe they're the best team right now in the NL Central, but I just felt like the Brewers, Cubs, and Cardinals would be kind of flip-flopped, but also bunched up like a game or two apart from each other, not a game. So I'm kind of shocked of how well the Brewers are projected opposed to the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, and I think it just is gonna depend a lot on just how some of these guys play for the Cardinals. Like, is Paul DeYoung gonna bounce back and be the 4 to 5 win guy that he was? Is Dylan Carlson gonna bust out in his first full season? Is Matt Carpenter gonna do anything? I know he's getting old, but yeah, I think that's the kind of what's holding the Cardinals back right now. Is they've got Goldie and Arenado, but there's not really a third guy on that offense that you can kind of count. You can kind of point to and say, you can count on him. Mm-hmm. The Brewers, very well-rounded team. They just acquired Marcus Semien too. That's a big push. You could argue that value-wise, Marcus Semien's right there with Nolan Arenado. I just from what he's been able to provide his teams, especially from like an on-base standpoint lately.
Okay. Back up real quick, because I had to check this. Semien went to the Blue Jays. You're thinking of Wong.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
It's okay.
Semien went to the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Not like I don't do that all the time. But I was like, wait a minute, they got Wong and Semien? Like, I was like, hold on, wait a second.
So Colton Wong. Wong. Who's been a valuable player for the Cardinals, right? Good defensive.
We both were very shocked that the Cardinals let him go.
Yeah, they non-tendered him, right?
The cheap Cardinals, right.
Yeah, didn't make sense. So Brewers have him. Brewers have, and I don't know what they're going to do with Keston here. And now I guess move him to first, which I don't know if his bat plays as well there as it did at second. Obviously they still have, they could. I don't know. I feel like you've got to have him in the lineup though. I don't know what they're going to do with him exactly. But no, the Brewers are yeah, it is. Having enough talent that you're not really sure what to do with it. That's a good thing. But they have really good pitching staff, and I think that's kind of the differentiator right now. But at the end of the day, I think we're just going to see some Cardinals Devil magic, right? some 16th round pick from the 2019 draft is just going to get called up randomly,
Right.
and he's going to hit 360 with 25 home runs. It's just it's just bound to happen.
Well, we have to find out who the Pirates once drafted that didn't sign that the Cardinals end up drafting later. That's who it's going to be. Because there's got to be some Pirate mix in there too as well. Because that's just how things work.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. I think that's pretty much right.
But you're right. I mean, I don't know if Pecota, sprinkles in the devil magic factor, but I think you and
I don't think they do. Yeah,
so,
I don't think they do.
Sprinkling a few more wins at least. But yeah, so again, I was kind of shocked that the Brewers were, like I said, more or less taking this division. Other ones though as well. So let's go with the NL West. You mentioned the Dodgers and Padres. That's been interesting because everyone wants to stack up who's better. The Dodgers did just acquire Trevor Bauer. So, the rich get richer, right? The Dodgers 103 wins, the Padres 96. Imagine, I mean, Pirates fans are, we're well aware of this, but imagine like 96 wins and you're just so far away from the division, Again, those Cardinals, right? The D-backs 79, the Giants 75, Rockies 60, of course. So I don't have any real issue with that. I don't know if I'm ready to say the Dodgers are still like 7 games better than Padres, but damn, just damn. Padres do all that work this offseason, still just can't get it done.
I don't know if it'll be closer than that or not. The two teams are so good, but the Dodgers are so good too. It's insane. I think the Dodgers clearly have more of the star power, especially like in that pitching rotation. Like the Padres rotation is good. Obviously, they have them here as allowing the least amount of runs of any team in baseball. But the Dodgers kind of have those big names, right? Kershaw, Price, Bauer. Padres have Darvish, right? Big one. But as far as and Snell, I think the Dodgers, the offensively too, are just so strong. Like there's not a position on the Dodgers that
they still might get
weak.
Justin Turner.
Yeah, he's just like, they're like, hey, maybe we can get you back. Yeah.
I think the way to sum up like the Dodgers, right? Because you're right. I mean, they are so good. They have so much depth. The best way to talk about it is just say the name, Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux. This guy is still a Dodger. I mean, you're talking about a top prospect in baseball that no one's ever heard of right now because he's just kind of stashed away in the Dodgers' depth. We're talking about Ke'Bryan Hayes and how he might be a top 100 player next year, and can he be like the face of the Pirates franchise? And Gavin Lux is well better than Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's been touted, in the prospect listings, higher than Ke'Bryan Hayes, and he's just stashed away in the Dodgers with like nowhere to play.
Yeah,
that's the Dodgers for you.
I do think this is the year that Lux starts at second base.
I think so. I mean, I think
it's going to be second base though, like not shortstop, obviously.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think this year, the room's there for him now in a sense. But it's just funny. Like you have to ask that question. Is this year Gavin Lux starts for the Dodgers? Is he good enough now to be on the Dodgers? He's a top 5 prospect in baseball. Is he now good enough to play for the Dodgers?
Yeah, because I think now what you could do, especially if you don't bring Turner back, you can move Muncy to third, Lux to second, Seager at short. Just an insane.
But then insane, right? And the Dodgers could say, you know what, we're going to get Justin Turner. It's like, all right, well,
and
I'm Gavin Lux, utility player.
Man, crazy.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, I'm looking at these projections for the Dodgers too, and they're just insane.
They're so good.
They really like Will Smith. Really like Will Smith.
Getting jiggy with it.
He is. It's my dude.
We'll move on to the NL East here. This is interesting. So the Mets at 96 wins, winning it. The Nationals 85, Phillies at 83, Braves at 82, and the Marlins all the way down at 68. So no love for the Marlins on their playoff berth last year. 68 wins. I think the thing that stands out to me is Braves at 82, fourth place in this division. Are the Braves really worse than the Nationals right now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking at this, it was kind of surprising to see the gap, right? So like you have the Mets being 11 wins better than the next team in the projections, and then you've got Nationals, Phillies, Braves kind of all bundled there together. Mm-hmm. I think the Braves are better than the Nationals. That's me. I think the Braves are better than 11 games. Actually, this has them here at 14 games behind the Mets. I think that's a little bit too much. Yeah, I think that's too much. I do think the Mets have obviously pushed their way to the top of the division with all their moves that they've had this offseason. But I don't think it's by that much. And I think the Braves are the number 2 team there. And I don't think it's that big of a gap.
And I think my thing too is you're all right. And like they're also getting Syndergaard back this year off of Tommy John. And I'm sure his projections look decent enough to, put those standings up there and whatnot. But like I feel like, as we talked about with the Cardinals, Pecota isn't smart enough to sprinkle in the devil magic for them. And I don't think the Pecota is smart enough to sprinkle in the Mets issues. Like you just know they're going to fall apart.
Something's going to happen.
So
right?
The projections look good. Like everything on paper looks good, but we damn well know the Mets are not winning 96 games this year. So yeah. I think that's where it is. But even with that said, like I'm just kind of really shocked that yes, the Mets are that much better than the Braves. Like how disrespected are the Braves being right now with these projections? I mean, they're a good team. I know they need some pitching help. They definitely do. But 82 wins. Ooh. And right, like you mentioned, also being worse than the Nationals and the Phillies. Like, wow.
Yeah, a little surprising there. I guess maybe it's their pitching. Soroka won't. Is Soroka going to be back? I guess do we know?
Thinking.
I guess he should be. Yeah.
I mean, he'll at least be back at some
Achilles.
point. I don't know if he'll be ready at opening day.
So, pitching wise, they should be okay, but again, probably not on the Mets level. Yeah, so that was surprising. Just because I feel like Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, that trio is so good. They're going to win more than 82 games. It's going to happen. I think they're going to be more around a 90-win team.
Just to give an update on it. Yeah, it says here Soroka is expected to be ready to throw by the time spring training begins. So, as if he will.
Cool. Yeah. I think the Braves are more like a 90-win team than an 82-win team.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Now that also is a very competitive division. So, much like how they're going to trade off some wins. I mean, it's going to be kind of bundled up there. But, I think they're closer to a 90-win team than an 80-win team. Let's go over to the AL. We'll go over to the AL West, I guess. The Astros at 93, Angels at 87, A's at 80, Mariners 70, Rangers 67. I'm cool with that.
That Angels projection actually puts them in the playoffs.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. If we can have some Mike Trout postseason this year, that'd be nice.
My God, can we? Like, for the good of baseball.
Right.
Come on, Angels. Anything you really want to dive into about that division?
I think the Astros are clearly still the best team. Even with all the losses they had this year, they're the best. Their system also. I mean, people kind of forget that. They built that championship team, but they still had a lot of people behind, kind of waiting in the wings. And and those guys are primed and ready to go now. They should be good.
True. All right, let's go to the AL East. This is also an interesting one. So the Yankees at 97, Rays at 86, Blue Jays 85, Red Sox 80, and then Orioles 66. So to me, another one was a very competitive division, especially for three teams. The Red Sox are kind of they're just kind of hanging in there. But it seems like the Blue Jays, the Rays, Yankees are all trying to really fight to for this division. Well, maybe the Blue Jays more than the Rays. The Rays are just kind of comfortable right now.
Yeah.
But I think again, like so, the Yankees being 97 wins, 11 games better than the next team. To me, that seems a little bit aggressive too. Especially, I mean, with their pitching issues they always have. They're a good team, but I don't know. I think the Blue Jays are really coming around. I like the Blue Jays, and the Rays are still good.
See, I think we see a big drop off from the Rays this year. I think I think these projections are high. I think the Blue Jays are the second best team in that division, and I think the Yankees run away with it. I think they run away with it. That team's good. I think that's a 100-win team.
I just, and again, I feel it's on paper projections and such, but like that rotation just outside of Garrett Cole, it's just risk after risk after risk after risk after risk. That's just what worries me. I mean, Severino coming back, Tommy John, and then he had a shoulder injury, I believe, and we all know about Jameson Tyone. It's just, it's so risky to me that I don't know if I'm ready to anoint them as a 97 win. But I get it. I mean, that offense, of course, is just studs. And like you mentioned about Giancarlo Stanton earlier, I mean, if this guy can stay on the field, him and Judge, your issue with the Cardinals was like, who's their number 3 guy after, Goldschmidt and Arenado? Like, look at the Yankees lineup. Like, who's their number 9 guy? That could be their number 3 guy in the Cardinals.
Yeah, right.
So that offense is definitely loaded. I just really worry about the pitching for them.
So with the pitching, I think, and it kind of goes back to like those Yankees teams, like of those dynasty Yankee teams, right? Where you had pitchers who, I mean, you clearly had a few dominant guys, right? But you also had pitchers who just went out there and didn't suck. Like you just had pitchers who weren't bad. They were fine, but the offense is so good that it didn't matter. The other thing too is that this bullpen is just insane. Just if you get the ball, if you have a lead in the 6th inning, like you're gonna win. I mean, you've got Zach Britton, Chad Green, Aroldis Chapman, Darren O'Day. It's just they're really good. And so I don't really think the starters have to be that good. If Tyone goes out there and he's average, that's fine. If Kluber goes out there and he's average, I think that's fine. If Devi Garcia is average, that's fine. Like I think the offense is good enough that it doesn't really matter.
I mean, I guess that's fair enough because their offense is so good. But I mean, that's also a very offensively gifted division. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the Rays have kind of dropped off a bit. Offensively, I don't know though. The Blue Jays, so good. They're getting so good too. I don't know. Anyways, I mean, it's not that terrible, I guess.
Orioles are still trash though.
We can agree. The rankings, the lineups is pretty much right on par. I mean, the Rays and Blue Jays, I do believe the Blue Jays are better too, but it's only a 1-game difference. And, if it was Blue Jays in 3rd place by 1 game, I wouldn't be like, oh my. All right, so let's finish it up on the AL Central because this is the one that really jumps. So the Twins are at 91 wins, winning the division. Second up, not the White Sox, Jim. Not the White Sox. The Indians still, who are dumping salary. The Indians at 86 wins, then the White Sox at 83, the Royals at 71, Tigers 67, also still trash. The Indians, Jim?
Pecota loves the pitching.
What
loves the pitching.
WTF? What is going on here?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
disrespect
loves
to the White Sox?
Yeah, that is kind of crazy that they have Cleveland over Chicago. I probably wouldn't do that. But again, Cleveland's one of those teams where I think Cleveland is still pretty sneaky good, even though they don't pay anybody. Their payroll is at $40 million basically. It's really kind of right there with the Pirates. But that pitching rotation is really solid. That could carry him, especially if Bieber is the guy that he was, that has been. Like Shane Bieber is lights out. Like he's just been insane.
He was just completely dominant last year.
Yeah, and then with Savali and Plesac and with McKenzie up now, like those are four good young pitchers that I don't even think any of them are in arbitration yet. Bieber maybe. I don't even think he is.
I don't know if Bieber is. Yeah, let me look that up too. But I mean, you are right in the sense of it's not going to be a terrible team. I mean, they've made some pretty big trades the past few years. What's funny too is like imagine this team. Now I know Clevenger's hurt, but maybe doesn't get traded or maybe doesn't get hurt. We're just playing hypotheticals here. Like this team could have had Clevenger and Lindor still this year.
Yeah, right.
So they got a lot of depth, and of course they had the quality players to trade away to get that depth. But it's like now opposed like Jose Ramirez, that offense is like, The outfield's still really, really bad, and the pitching is really good. The pitching is good, and I'll give that to you. So I don't know, and you are right. Yeah, Bieber is not. Bieber is ARB eligible in 2020. So.
Yeah, so he's still making minimum.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the Rosario signing was something too, right? I mean that actually was a nice signing that they had because he didn't play very well last year, but
it was a fine signing.
He had a nice 2019, so he's someone who can kind of go in there in that middle of the lineup with Jose Ramirez, and I mean in the Clevenger deal, they also acquired Franmil Reyes, which I think he can hit. I don't know if he can do anything else, but he can hit.
Play DH.
And they also are another team that have some young guys coming up. You look at Nolan Jones. Nolan Jones is kind of right on the doorstep there. Andres Jimenez, who they acquired from the Mets, I like. So their offense isn't terrible, and I think it's good enough to win games with the pitching that they have.
But still, with that being said,
but I still don't think they're better than the White Sox.
Offense is really good. So, the White Sox.
Yeah.
You know who also has some really good pitching? The White Sox. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm really dumbfounded. That was the most shocking thing to me of this entire thing was just seeing the Indians at 86 wins and above the White Sox. So,
yeah,
wow, the disrespect. Disrespect to the White Sox.
Disrespect. You know what? It's the Tony La Russa effect.
So Pecota was smart enough to sprinkle that one in.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. All right. Oh man. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our show.
Yeah.
We'll talk about MLB's deadening the baseball. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow on live.
Yeah, we'll say some things there.
There you go. So that's our show. Anything else you wanted to say? Wrap up here with Jim?
I think that is all. Yeah, let's sign up major. How about this? Yes or no? Are the Pirates gonna sign a free agent to a major league deal? Just one.
I mean, they keep saying they're looking to acquire. Now they do also say through sign or trade. So I guess I have to say yes. I don't know what they're going to trade. Has to be a yes. So, somebody, right?
You would think. We'll see.
All right.
I think it's a yes, but yeah, we'll see.
Then we get to break that down, and Jim can tell you how that person's not terrible.
Exactly.
But, all right. Well, catch us tomorrow, and it's not live, and then we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.